Well, can anyone say they're really surprised? Daddy remains daddy. The New Jersey Devils riding high off a beautiful win in Nashville, which your boy was in attendance for. Big win over the Predators in Nashville. If you haven't seen it, I did put a vlog of the Nashville trip. Check that out on the channel if you are interested in seeing it and have not. But leave Nashville, head to Carolina, and daddy remains daddy. The Devils lose to the Canes by a score of 5-2. Oh, welcome back, Devils fans. It is your host, Ace, here on Running with the Devils, where we are talking New Jersey Devils hockey all year long. Please hit that subscribe button, smash the like, share the friend. Thank you very much. And guys, I am so tired of talking about this team kicking our ass. I know the game did not mean much in the grand scheme of things, but as you all know, going to watch every game, root the team on, and hope to see some good play and some victories, and especially against the team that has owned us forever. And the ownership continues. For whatever reason, the New Jersey Devils just cannot beat this Carolina Hurricanes team. But win or lose, we booze, guys. And tonight we are back to loser beverages. Cheers to all of you. Cheers to those still watching and supporting this team, still coming out to the streams and talking about the team. The diehard crowd of us, it's shrinking with each passing game. By the end of the season, it might be me and like 5 of you guys. But cheers to all of you, and wow. That was good. I was very thirsty. We got teased a little bit. We get to the game. We got a little bit of a tease. Timo Meier opens up the scoring for our New Jersey Devils at 17:06. Dawson Mercer jams on the brakes. Nice little pass across. Timo roofs it up top. And Timo Meier gets his 22nd goal of the season, assisted by Dawson Mercer and the captain to give the Devils the 1-0 lead at 17:06. That is how the first period would end. And that was pretty much, the last time that any of us felt good during this game, because the second period starts, and that is where we just get absolutely slapped. Canes on the power play at 10-10. Ehlers, it was towards the end of the power play as well. Devils killed off the first big chunk of it, but at the end of it, Ehlers rips a shot past Markey for his 23rd of the season, ties the game up at 1, and then a few minutes later, Devils sloppy play. Can't clear the zone. Blake gets it in deep, puts on the moves, and he scores for his 21st of the season at 13:48, gives the Canes the 2-1 lead, and then literally a minute and a half later, more sloppy play by the Devils. Jordan Stahl with a tip in front gives the Canes a 3-1 lead. That is how the second period would end, and at that point, let's be real, folks. We all knew the game was over. The game was over at that point. We're not going to erase a 2-goal deficit going into the third against the Canes in Carolina, of all places. An absolute house of horrors, and I'll get to that in a minute. They talked about that on the MSG on the pregame. Go to the third period, and at 15:25, Gostisbehere seals it up, gives the Canes the 4-1 lead. With the empty net, Seth Jarvis makes it 5-1, and then with 24 seconds left, Evgeny Dodonov he scores a goal and registers his first point as a New Jersey Devil. Obviously, he missed a ton of games due to injury. He was scratched a bunch of games. But in the end, for a guy that was brought in the offseason, and we all thought it was for a bottom sixth edition, sadly, Fitz had this guy slated to be a top-line winger, folks. Let that sink in. A man that was brought in during free agency to be a top-line winger and play with Jack Hughes has registered his first point of any kind as a New Jersey Devil on March 28th. I repeat, Dodonov registers his first point as a New Jersey Devil on March 28th. You can't make this stuff up. The painful reality that we live in, the season is coming down. We have a little more than 2 weeks left, and my God, at this point, I will miss the boys and watching the games during the long off season until October. But this is it's been a painful season, guys. I could sit here and talk smack, and I don't like to dwell on negativity. Like I've told you guys a few months back, I came to the realization this was not a playoff team. It is what it is, but what do we get in here? we get to the game stats. Devils had like, I think 11 shots through 2 periods, like clearly not enough. You're not going to win games doing that. And yeah, Markey didn't have a good game, but for all the people once again killing Markey, like, was it a bad game for him? Sure. Did he cost the team the game? No. If you're relying on your goaltender to pitch a shutout or hold the opposition to a single goal for you have a chance to win, that means your team sucks. That means your team sucks. And I do think overall the Devils as a team, the way they've been playing after the Olympic break, I mean, they haven't been phenomenal, but it's been much better since before the break. But using Carolina Hurricanes games as a barometer is a tough thing to do because they've owned us for eternity and it's not ending. But Devils 19 shots on goal, Canes with 34. Devils 52% in the faceoff circle, Canes 48%. Devils power play once again powerless, going 0 for 3. Canes convert on their only power play chance, going 1 for 1. Devils with 26 hits, love to see that. Canes with 12 hits. Devils 16 block shots, love to see that as well. Haven't seen tons of hits and block shots as of late, but tonight, they got it done in that department. Canes with 9 block shots. Devils 17 giveaways. The Canes with 23 giveaways. Devils 4 takeaways, and the Canes with 7 takeaways. And we get to the player stats. Nico Hischier with an assist, 5 shots, 3 blocks, and 2 hits. Timo Meier with a goal, 3 shots, a block, and 3 hits. Dodonov. His first point as a New Jersey Devil, folks. 2 shots for him. Paulie Cotter had 3 hits. Brendan Dillon, a block and 2 hits. Dougie Hamilton, a shot, 2 blocks, 4 hits. Johnny Kovacevic, a shot, 2 blocks, 2 hits. Shimo Nemitz, 2 blocks and a hit. Jacob Markstrom, 29 saves on 33 shots. And those are your player stats, folks. Another painful game in Raleigh. I mean, for any Devils fans that attend games there, I mean, what some sort of sickness to go to a game expecting not to be further tortured. But this was a stat courtesy of MSG. In the pregame, Don LaGreca was talking about it, and this is just recent history. This goes back way, way longer than this. But the graphic titled "Rocked by Hurricanes Since 22-23," NJ 6-16-2 record, regular season and playoffs, a -30 goal differential. My God, season series this year, Devils were 0-3 with an 8 goal differential. The power play was 1 for 11. Oh man, I just rocked this thing. It just goes to show, even in recent times, the statistics are overwhelmingly horrific, and just goes to show how this Hurricanes team has really been daddy and owned the New Jersey Devils. And it's unfortunate, but it is the reality of the team right now. And with playing the Canes, you're going to have to figure out a way. And after every game, I feel like everyone kind of says the same thing, like, oh, we got to figure it out. We know how they play, but they've completely dominated us. This is just a small piece of the pie here. They've owned us going back to those playoffs forever ago. 2002. And it's brutal. Absolutely brutal. Let me see. I'm dropping the link in the chat. If you're interested in the Nashville vlog, I would say give that a view. I just put the link in the chat for that. I highly recommend it as a road game. If you wanted a fun place to go see the Devils play on the road, obviously this is, for next season. Highly recommend Nashville. Lots to see, lots to do, lots of victory drinks or loser beverages, depending on the outcome of the game, but lots of bars, live music, great time, good food. Check out that vlog. And then I'm also going to drop another link. Bang! Another link. The interview with Minnesota Wild and Team USA GM Billy G. Bill Guerin dropped that a few days ago. I had the opportunity to talk to Billy G for a little bit and pick his brain and get some of his infinite wisdom on the game. Loved talking to Billy G. Check that out. I dropped the link in the description for that as well. But it's a brutal time right now, guys. We have a little over 2 weeks left, and then it's another long, long offseason. Just riding out the summer, doing summer things. And listen, I'm a summer guy, and I enjoy the summer, but I will miss my New Jersey Devils hockey. And we'll be wishing that we were part of the postseason dance as we are watching the other teams compete for Lord Stanley's Cup. Someone asked earlier, I think, may have been Tasha. I will be doing the playoff bracket, obviously. That will be something I do every year, and there'll be a prize or prizes, I think, prizes, plural, for the top couple finishers. So keep an eye out for that. We're still a few weeks away from playoffs, obviously, but I will be doing that again. But wow. I don't know, guys. It's just a disappointing season. But shout out to everybody who still comes out to these and watches this team. What else? I got a couple other things to follow your boy on the Twitter. Drop the link in the chat for that as well. Getting a little more involved on there, even though it is a cesspool, in my opinion, with lots of ridiculous things happening on the regular. It is a fun little medium, and I'm getting a little more involved on the Twitter, so check that out. Please give your boy a follow. I dropped the link in the chat for that. I'll be getting to the comments in a second. And one more here. Bang. Follow your boy on Instagram. Starting to do more on that as well, as I embrace the digital age and all of these different platforms. Link in the chat for the Instagram as well. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. There is going to be something very special I have in the works that I have had in the works for a while. And just due to life, time constraints and things, has been delayed. But there's going to be a massive little celebration. I'll call it a end of season celebration, even though, maybe celebration is the wrong word. But there will be a massive giveaway show for me to show my appreciation to all of you for the continued support, and just as Devils fans, something cool I think I could do. And so I will be giving away a ton of crap on a show probably within a couple of days after the season ends. Keep your eyes peeled for that. And like I said, follow me on those other platforms. There'll be specific things for different platforms. So the more things you're following your boy on, the more opportunity and chances you will have to win one of the many, many, many New Jersey Devils apparel, merchandise, memorabilia prizes that I will be giving away at the end of the season as a little, I'm going to call it the Running with the Devils Devils fans appreciation, whatever you want to call it. All right, let's get to the comments. You guys are going to be brutal here, but it's all part of the Taylor Hall masterclass. Oh boy. I'm a big Hall fan. I'm not anymore, but I loved him when he was here. And like I've said time and time again on the program, that one of the greatest Devil seasons of all time, Taylor Hall in 17-18, winning the Hart Trophy as the MVP of the league and dragging a mediocre New Jersey Devils squad to the playoffs that had no business getting there. And then the Lightning stomped us. But Taylor Hall, I'll always have appreciation for him, what he did in that season. Jay Snow, this team's awful. Oh, boy. Listen. They were tonight. And overall, they're not a good team, I would say. Awful could be a little strong. But, yeah, I mean, on any given night, they've definitely been awful. But then on the flip side, they've also looked like a team that you wouldn't know you wouldn't know they have the record that they have. Let's put it that way. Porsche GM, my man Patty, great interview with Garen Ace. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. USA, man. If it wasn't for that USA gold medal win, let's be real, I would be super depressed. And listen, it only eased the pain a little bit. There's nothing that will fully heal a season like this one, but the USA gold medal win certainly alleviated the pain a little bit. Gregory, but the future is bright, guys. How could I forget? The future is so bright. Gregory, we're not even close to the Hurricanes as a franchise. They are better on every level, from ownership to management to coaches and players. I mean, I think this is a case of sometimes the truth hurts, right, Greg? I mean, I can't disagree with anything you said here. They haven't been able to get over the hump as of late, but they've certainly been way more competitive than the New Jersey Devils have. And that does start at the very top with ownership and the front office. Rod Brindamore, top flight coach in this league. And he's kept that team competitive for years and years. Jason says, for God's sakes, it must be broken up. You know where I'm at with this. I said that a few months ago. I think we're at the point where, again, I will say, do I think this core could win if you could add another big piece over the top of them? Maybe. But with salary cap constraints and things, it seems like, that we're long overdue for the big shakeup. And we've talked about it here forever. Will it happen? I have no idea. I do think there are going to be maybe a couple bombshells, or at least a bombshell this summer, but we're going to see. We're at a very weird place, I would say, as an organization at the moment. Car Kane says, you are better as a franchise with cups and not suffering the yearly pain. I mean, if you're talking about all-time history, sure, Carson, but in recent history, we are as irrelevant as it gets. I mean, I'm getting tired of telling these youngsters about the 2003 Stanley Cup, which was the most recent. We got youngsters in here that weren't even born yet. Tasha wasn't even born yet. We're talking about cups from prehistoric times when the Tyrannosaurus Rex roamed the earth. I mean, I want to win a cup in modern times. Jay Snow says, what else does ownership need to see that this team isn't it? I have no idea, Snow. Hopefully this whole season kind of served as an eye-opening kind of experience that this team is not it. But who the hell knows, right? You know, if nothing was done during the season when it was slipping away with some, you know, that 9-0 Islander loss was as ugly as it gets. Carson says, being eliminated in heartbreaking fashion every year is not something y'all have particularly had to deal with. Carson, I think I speak on behalf of all Devils fans when I say we would gladly trade places to get eliminated from the playoffs in heartbreaking fashion than miss the playoffs or have a team destroy us in the first round in 5 games. Collect Record says we'll never beat Carolina again unless Fitz is gone and a real GM can at least try to fix this shit. We're going to see. You know, if he's still here, hopefully he has some sort of awakening that causes him to make some impactful moves. But if it's more of the same, then I believe the team will suffer the same fate. We will see a team that either misses the playoffs or just kind of barely gets in and gets destroyed. Justin Smith's season is over. Thank God. The season's been over for a while. Jay Snow, Carolina kills us because we're so weak on the walls. We have 0 forecheck. Yeah. And that's where some of the scritty guys could come into play. We need guys that are going to fight on the walls, win puck battles, be a little bit, you know, heavier on pucks, and just play that scrittier game. It is an element that this team has been sorely missing, and it really, really shows in games like tonight and when you play teams like the Canes. Carson says, thought y'all had us after the first. Oh, Carson, just stop it. Jay Snow, a new GM needs to get his hands on this roster. I agree. CNJDev, there's an image going around complaining that Pittsburgh is ahead in the standings despite having less wins. Devils need to lose less games in regulation then. Yeah, I listen, I understand people's frustration with it, but like in the end, loser points are still points. And so I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, we have more, you know, wins than the Penguins. Who the hell cares? They have more points. There's a point system. It is what it is, whether you like it or not. You get the loser point. And losing games in overtime or the shootout is much better than losing in regulation. And they've lost a ton of games in shootout or overtime, and they've stacked up loser points. It is what it is. Jason says, I really hope all the boys don't come back. It's time for a massive shakeup. Well, there's going to be some sort of changes. To what degree, we will find out this summer. Collect Record says, thinking Dodonov was a first liner is almost a bigger joke than extending Markstrom that early. And we could talk about this forever too. And you guys know I like Marky, but you know, I there's no way at this point to defend the timing of the extension. Certainly mind-boggling. Carson says, I hate overtime loss merchants like Pittsburgh and Vegas. CNJ Dev, good luck in the playoffs. To Car Canes, I'm not wishing him good luck. I hate the Canes. No offense, Carson. I just hate your team. Jay Snow, the Devils have won a lot of games in OT this year. Regulation wins matter more. Robbie's bench toss. Fitz has traded away Zaka, lost Wedge to waivers, traded Blackie for peanuts, extended Markey playing like ass, created our logjam on D with no trade clauses, has not gotten a top 6 talent, and sucks at drafting. I agree with some of the complaints. I'm not going to kill him for Zaka or even Wedgwood or even Blackwood. The rest of it is the things I have more of an issue with. The Markey extension and the timing of it. The decor as a whole, I was kind of stunned, I would say, that Nemitz or Dougie or even maybe a different defense. I'm going to just say I'm shocked that a defenseman was not traded at this deadline in an absolute seller's market. That made absolutely no sense to me, but, you know, who knows what goes on here. And the top 6 thing, that's just been a constant kind of glaring issue since Tyler Toffoli was shipped out and never replaced. And the drafting, the record speaks for itself. All right, let me skip ahead a little bit here. I fell behind. Collect Record says Fitzgerald should be in jail for what he's done to this team. It is a shame. He inherited a beautiful situation, and here we are missing the playoffs again. Jay Snow, 4 high danger chances all game and not one in the third period is an absolute joke. Yeah, I mean, the Canes have our number. David S., what's up, Ace? I know you're a Markey guy, but we'll never win anything with him. For a 6'6 goal, he has so many holes where he lets in soft goals. Now, listen, I'm the first to say I like Markey, but not a great season. Not a great season at all. And the only thing I can say is I hope that, he looks much better next year, but that doesn't typically happen with guys at his age. I would be lying if I did not say I am super, super concerned, on that front for next season. Dakota says, love the Guerin interview. Appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. What a thrill it was to talk to Billy G. I could talk to Billy G for literally years. There are so many different things to talk to Billy G about. Robbie's Bench Toss says, at least we could watch the playoffs relatively stress-free. Yeah, but I would rather be stressed out watching our New Jersey Devils. I would much rather be in the tournament than not. Benjamin, how many years are we stuck with Markstrom? 2 more years after this one. Next year and the 27-28 season. Jason said, I don't want to hear Keefe's post games anymore. I just think he's just kind of defeated and beaten down. Like, how many times can you say the same shit? I mean, it's got to be frustrating for him as well to constantly have to do media and talk about a team that just, has massively underperformed. It's definitely got to be frustrating for him. Derek, the Motor Rider, can we just find someone who knows how to coach against the Canes and hire them? Well, I think it starts with personnel, and that's the job of the general manager. We need some new bodies in here, and we need the guys that are going to bring a little bit of that more playoff hockey type game. We don't have enough of them right now. Really, we don't have many at all. Snow says package Fitz and Keefe and send them to the moon. I'm not as down on Keefe as many people are. He obviously is attached to the stench of this season. By virtue of being the coach. I mean, you can't say he's completely blameless, but I've talked about this. Like, it feels like after every game now, I don't think he's anywhere near the main issue. Devil Heaven says, Ace, I want that stadium Adidas jersey. The stadium. Oh no. I thought we froze. The Stadium Series jersey is one of the nicest jerseys of all time. David S. Why Fitz thought a 35 and 36-year-old goalie tandem was a solution in net for this young team is beyond me. Dawes or Schmidt were clearly both the future of this team in net. Talked about this a million times, too. I do think Akira Schmidt got a raw deal here, and it is what it is. Dawes, I didn't realize Dawes is a restricted free agent, so that could be very interesting. After this season, I've always advocated for Dawes. I liked what he has done in a small sample size. Last year's numbers are really good. Did not play a lot at all, but he did come in and give us a solid win against the Wild earlier this season. And he's just kind of in an unfortunate situation with the veterans ahead of him on the depth chart, and it seems like that's not going to change anytime soon. Pahadio says, I can't wait for another year of Keefe hockey and low-scoring, low-event hockey. Let's run this shit back. Taylor Hall carried a mediocre Devils team. Mediocre is Devils hockey. Oh, man. Tasha says, kind of wild to me. Marty never won the Hart. I would say yes and no. The league definitely did not love the Devils, as evidenced by the fact that, a bigger crime is that Marty did not win the Conn Smythe Trophy in 2003 as the most valuable player of the playoffs. But with the career Marty had, you would think that he would have gotten one of them. But the reality is you have to have like a really insane season to win the Hart as a goaltender. And I think off the top of my head, prior to last year, Hellebuck won it last year. But before that, I think the only goalies that had won it in recent times, let me see. Okay, so I forgot about him. Jose Theodore won it in 02, and Hasek won it in back-to-back years in 97, 98. And that might be it. I think that is it. So you're talking about since 1974, a goalie has only won the Hart 4 times. You got 97, 98, Dominic Hasek. Oh, and I missed Carey Price. So you got 97, 98 Hasek. 2002, Jose Theodore is 3. Carey Price in 2015 is 4. And Hellebuck in 2025 is 5. So five seasons, a goaltender won the Hart as most valuable player in the league, and Hasek won it twice. So 4 different goalies, 5 different times. It doesn't happen that often. Grayson says, Devils get hit by a Category 5 again. Yeah, they did. Daddy stays daddy. Vecna Fitzgerald, hoodie is so dope. Got a few compliments. Oh, very nice. Very nice, Vecna. It's a sick hoodie, I have to say. Metalander, same shit, different day. The Canes love when we mess around east-west in our defensive zone. A little pressure and the defensive mistakes come every time. Yeah, they know how to really put the pressure and cause the Devils to make mistakes, and they capitalize. They make you pay for your mistakes. No doubt about it, and tonight was no different. Yeah, the Donov goal. Devil Heaven, solid first period. Then we got into playing turnover hockey. Get it out. Mateo, I think Nemitz wants out of New Jersey, so we have a good trade chip to finally get a scoring winger for Jack. Seems like that would be the most logical path to bringing in a big-time winger, obviously, and the first-round draft pick will be a decently high one. So you're talking about a package with Nemo and a first-round pick that's a top 10, top 12-ish kind of pick is a pretty nice start on trying to make a big-time move. Tasha says, laugh my ass off predicting we get at least one big bombshell shakeup after predicting at least 2 trade deadline moves. So I'm not sure I could believe you anymore. Well, listen, I never claimed I was going to be, 100% out here. I did correctly predict that it wasn't going to be anything major. That I did say, where people were like, oh, we're going to get something big. I said it wasn't going to be anything major. And if anything, it would be a Sprong-esque type move, which I would say Bukestad slightly better than that, but in the same realm. But I did not see an absolute 0 on deadline day. I thought for sure there would be at least a defenseman sold off. Devil Heaven 77, Ace, educate these new fans. I try, but a lot of people like to see things their way, and that's okay. Everyone has their own opinion. A lot of these people are wrong, but, David Chimes, what's up? Devils 6-14-2 versus Metro, 31-19-0 versus the rest of the NHL. Failing rivalry games is the biggest reason we sunk the season, probably nearly every season for Keefe coach team. This is fact. I mean, sure, you could kind of break it down to smaller little problem areas, but in the end, this team just failed on many levels this season, I would say, and the offense completely going dry when Jack went down is just inexcusable. Natasha says, but no, with Nemo and Dougie, something's inevitable. You would think. You certainly would think. Jay Snow, 2003 was over 20 years ago. We're going to start sounding like the Rangers living off of 94. At least 2003 is 9 years more recent than 94. Maddie, I don't know how to say Mattias. Keeps still getting blamed for all this is hilarious. Yeah, and it'd be a shame if he loses his job as a result of it and falls on the sword, because I do think this season is largely a failure by Fitz, and the players have to take a lot of the blame as well. They just disappeared in games when it mattered most and could not finish their chances, and I cannot give them a pass for that. Snow says, I'm depressed now about the Devils in my age. Merce Tube says, I miss Pesci. Yeah, big piece of this team, but what's the point of him sacrificing his body in these meaningless games at this point? Hopefully he heals up and is a big part of the defense for next season. Pajadio says there'll be 0 changes over the summer, evidence the last 2 years. Yeah, but I think that we're talking about something a little slightly different now. After missing the playoffs again, after kind of witnessing the team crumble when Jack went down, with the pending contract situation for Nico Hischier, with the pending contract for Nemo, there's a lot of things kind of bubbling behind the scenes. And I do think at some point something will have to give, and we will see something happen. Tasha, let's just say only thing I would have been around for would have been the 2012 run to the final and wouldn't have been able to remember. Yeah, at least some of the newer fans, and I would call people that became fans in 2012, that is somewhat newer, but I guess compared to the much newer fans, they're veterans at this point, right? If you became a fan in 2012, you're now a nearly 15-year vet. But that was the last true relevancy of the New Jersey Devils. 2012. We have some great bargain contracts in Brat, Jack, and Nico. They're both wasted because of it. Yeah. That's why you have to try to make a move to win. Push the chips in the middle. See Billy G in Minnesota. He was like, I have all these young pieces. Let me package them up and get Quinn and make a run. And he's trying to win. That's an organization truly trying to win now. Are the Carolina Hurricanes the New Jersey Devils curse? Yeah, man. Absolutely. They've owned us forever. Forever, ever. Carson, we did our adding in the offseason, but I do, in fact, wish we got a bona fide 2C like Trocheck. Yeah, I mean, it seems like every team always is like, oh, it'd be nice to have another center. But like I said, Carson, we would gladly switch places with you any day. Jason says, enjoy Tasha. A lot of time to see a cup, hopefully. I just want to see one more, folks. Just one more before I go. Corey Robinson, Devils are in big trouble as what's needed to be done in the offseason Fitz is incapable of doing. Next year will be the same thing. He's not a leader like most of the other GMs are. I hope this is the year that he surprises us all. And I feel like I say this every year. But at some point, whether it's, pressure from above, pressure from players' agents, like there's just a lot of things bubbling that can't be ignored. So I think to some extent, doing absolutely nothing is not really an option. David S. says, Timo up to 22 goals now. Haters, deposit your Timo apologies in the comment section below. Good luck with that, David. Some of these people are dedicated to the hate. Tasha says, honestly, as much as I think Timo's overpaid and stuff, I can't really complain until I see him utilized properly. We all dream of that day. I don't know if we'll ever see it, but the potential is there. And as myself and many others have pointed out, he is our only dog up front, really. I mean, he could bring the boom. He brings a little bit of that snarl. We saw a couple of little scuffles today, and we need a couple more guys like that to kind of activate Timo to get the highest level of that play out of him. David Chimes, I missed Dawes was an RFA too. Would love it if we kept him. So would I, but I think that this could get ugly. Because if you're him, Allen signed for 4 more years after this. He probably won't play them all, but even if he only plays 2 of them and Markey's here for 2 years, Dawes is not trying to wait 3 more years to have an NHL job. So I don't know where you go from there. It could end up in some sort of ugly stalemate. Carson says, seeing Florida hopefully get eliminated will make my year. Yeah, I mean, I think obviously the injuries and all the mileage and all the games they've played over the last couple seasons are finally catching up to them. But I think they will be back with a vengeance next year for sure. I don't think this is like the end of the Panthers by any stretch. Tasha, is Lamico still sitting up in the press box? What happened to him? I'm pretty sure he went back to Switzerland. Gary says Dougie has to go. That's something that probably will be investigated once again this summer, and it may be the time where we ultimately see him get dealt. Meadowlander said, who are you posing with on the title image of the Nashville vlog? Oh, that's my buddy Frank, Backhanded Devil. He is the gentleman that designed this beautiful jersey. Hold on. My computer is being annoying. So he designed the fan appreciation jersey that was worn. Fan appreciation night is the last home game of the season. And Backhanded Devil, follow him on X. Great follow. Or Twitter. He designed the fan appreciation jersey for the 22-23 season, in which Luke Hughes made his NHL debut. So he designed that jersey with the state of New Jersey on the crest. I'm trying to find a better close-up photo of it. I had it, but I can't find it easily. Oh, here we go. What I think it's easily my favorite, and this was Luke's NHL debut. They wore it for warm-ups. My favorite kind of specialty jersey of all time. And there's a better photo of it there. And there's a bunch of different Devils-related slogans or things in the text within the state of New Jersey. Completely sick. He's got, the Bauman chant, the retired numbers. I think you're next. It's just all little phrases and things over Devils history. Genius concept, beautiful jersey, one of my favorites of all time. So that's who that was. I randomly saw him at the game and talked to him for a couple minutes. And yeah, that is who is in that photo. Tasha says, I have to agree with that, Ace. Something is eventually going to give. Yeah, it's just too many looming bombshells in the background. They all can't be ignored. Something is going to give somewhere, whether that's something with Nico, Dougie, the whole Nemo situation. Metal Hunter says it's not magic. They just outwork us. And like Keith says, we will. Yeah, the Canes have our number. They have for years. They know what type of game to play to shut us down. And they execute well. And the same result happens nearly every game. Devils lose and look terrible doing it. Sherry, love the Guerin interview. Ace the Nashville vlog. Thank you, Sherry. I love Keith. So screw on you, Keith haters. Champions get checked. Yes, I work for RWJ Barnabas Health. That's funny. Robbie's bench toss would have been nice to have 25 goal Pavel Zacha right now, but we got 2 seasons of Eric Hall instead. Nice. Well, SJ says need a big center so badly. We've all been, us old timers have been calling for the even poor man's version of a Jason Arnott or Bobby Holik. Just give us a poor man's version. Just get us a big center, please. We had 10 players with no shots on goal. It's always a great stat. Go Buffalo. I think the Sabres could definitely do damage. Dakota says Zacha had to score 2 goals today. Oh, Pavel Zacha. Tasha says, who remembers Ace in his Tuck era last season? That ship has sailed. Anything involving Buffalo, the ship has sailed. The same thing for the most part, I think, with any of the Predators guys. You got to try to strike and make a deal when it looks like the ship is sunk. And both the Sabres and Predators ships got figured out. They patched those things up, and they both may make it. Well, Buffalo definitely, obviously, in the playoffs. Predators may make it, but Buffalo is just looking beastly right now. Doug, I don't know how you do this after every game, Ace. Seasons like this are absolutely miserable. Completely true. It is miserable. These are becoming more and more difficult to do, but I do love this team. I love you guys, and it's just a fun little hobby. But yeah, games and seasons like this certainly are frustrating, and it does suck, and it's painful, but the future is bright, guys. Yeah, the future is bright, Execution. The future is so bright. That is why my retinas are being protected right now. And pretty soon, as someone else pointed out, I'm going to have to start wearing sunscreen because you don't want to get burned. Bungie says, I'm pulling for the Penguins. Long shot team, but I grew up watching Sid the Kid, and I'd like to see him take one last ride. I've always been a fan of Sid. I've talked about that for a while. Sid is just one of the classiest individuals to play this game and has been a great ambassador for the sport of hockey. I wouldn't mind seeing him go on a deep run as well. I've always liked Sid, for sure. SJ cheering for Buffalo. And yeah, I would like to see Lindy, get a chance to do something. I am a big Tage Thompson guy. Yeah, the jersey was sick, Zach, right? That's one of the best jerseys of all time. David S. Oh, here we go. I did the math. If the Devils win all 10 games left and the Sens, Isles, Wings, and Caps only win 3 or less games, you're in the playoffs. Oh, boy. Doug, I'm so salty about the Devils. I honestly don't care who wins this season. I guess if Buffalo does well, I'd be impressed. Oh, they've been on an absolute tear as of late. They'll be one of the teams I'm pulling for in the playoffs. Tasha, I miss the days when the players wore the specialty jerseys. Why don't they anymore? I thought it was cool. So they wore them for warm-ups. They had specialty jerseys for warm-ups. Long story short, it basically stems from, I think it was a couple years ago now. The guy's name's escaping me at the moment. The Russian defenseman for the Flyers. What the hell was his name? Provorov. It all started because Provorov didn't want to wear the Pride jersey. And, he said, he's religious. He's not about that. He doesn't want to wear the jersey. So he didn't wear the Pride jersey. And then the media tried to drag him for it, or at least most of the media tried to drag him through the mud for it. And it became a whole PR thing. And then people started talking, well, why should they have to wear it? And then so to avoid any sort of stories or situations like this going forward, the league decided to just get rid of all specialty warm-up jerseys, which I thought was kind of an overcorrection. If nothing, if you want to get rid of the jerseys, fine, but they should have at least kept like military appreciation at a minimum. I mean, that one I think they should have kept, but they didn't want to deal with any of this. So they were like, forget it. We're just getting rid of all of it. So they got rid of all of them. And so now a lot of teams still do specialty jerseys that the players will, and you've even seen the Devils do a bunch of them where the players will either wear them like on their entrance or they'll like hold them up and they'll sign them and they auction them off for charity and stuff. So they still do it in that capacity, but they do not wear them on the ice anymore. And it does suck. It's unfortunate that happened because you guys know I'm a merchandise memorabilia just pig. And I obviously loved all these different specialty jerseys and things over the years as well. And I do think it sucks that, that they decided to get rid of it because of one, kind of stupid media story. But here we are. Doug says, hit the like for Ace. This team sucks. He deserves likes. Appreciate you, Doug. Thank you. Thank you. Devil Heaven. I still want the new alternate black and red, just like the Lowell Devils jersey. Devil pitchfork as a stick. It's interesting. I mean, I think the jersey should definitely be black. Firmly on the black jersey, and I hope it's something similar to what we've talked about, either an inverse of the Stadium Series jersey or a modification of that beautiful starter jersey from the 90s. Corey Robinson, Ace, what's your ranking of Nashville, the game experience at Nashville, the Broadway bar restaurant experience? Very high. It's certainly in the running for me for my favorite road city. It's definitely one of my top few. and it's definitely a contender for number one for a lot of reasons. It's not super far away, which is huge. Tons of different food to get. You know, you got the barbecue, the hot chicken. There's all kinds of food and things to eat, which is great. Obviously, I'm a big food guy, as you all know. I do like live music, and there's no shortage of that at all the bars. It's all within walking distance, and so it's great for me. It's not far. It's not super expensive. There's a ton to eat. There's a ton to drink. There's a ton to see. Live music. For me, it just checks all the boxes, and it's definitely one of my favorite road cities, if not the favorite road city that I've been to anyway. Obviously, I've only been to, maybe a dozen or so total, but I do think it is a phenomenal road city, and I think a lot of other people agree, which is why you see so many fans from every team, and especially the Devils. You'll see a good amount of fans there on the road because it's a fun little trip to do, and I highly recommend it. And like I had mentioned before, if you are interested in getting a little bit of a closer look at it, check out the vlog. I filmed a ton of stuff when I was there. It's on the channel now. Tasha, him doubling down on the whole, I never said that I love Dougie. He's a core member. Situation was wild. Yeah, we call it revisionist history. Tasha, for his presser, if he has one at the end of the season, Ace, can you make a bingo board? Oh, boy. You guys are out for blood. David Chimes, Siplikov, poor man's Holik. He's a good 4C. I honestly think, David, you're being a little disrespectful to Bobby Holik. I don't even think that I could consider Siplikov a poor man's Holik, and he's a winger. Are you talking about Bukestad? Devil Heaven Ace, where can I find a Lowell Devils AHL jersey out there? You got to look. You could find them. No, I don't have one local. I'll show you the jersey I do have. It's not Lowell, but it's kind of in the realm of what you're talking about. If you go find, they've been gone for some years now, but if you scour the internet, you could find them. I have a couple of Lowell Devils jerseys. I just don't have them on hand. But hold on. I'm going to pull up another jersey that I think you'll like that kind of fits the conversation. Where is this thing? So this is a Utica. This was a Utica Comets, Utica Devils throwback, which again, pretty basic. I would have liked the thicker stripe, but just very basic and beautiful. Even imagine a jersey like this with the Devils logo here would be a beautiful alternate. Primarily black with a nice red pop with the sleeves. I mean, what more do you want? This would be a beautiful alternate. Let me put this back. Snorkel Life says, Nemitz first pick and second for Brady or Matthews. Why not? Cheers, Ace. First of all, I would not be able to hit approve quick enough on either one of those. Obviously, listen, you guys know I'm a Brady guy. I think he is exactly what this team needs. Brings the energy, the leadership, just the absolute dog behavior. Total alpha, wants to win, now a gold medal winner. I would love nothing more than to get Brady Tkachuk. He is my number one want league-wide, has been for 3 years. But I would probably also, it depends on the injury stuff with Matthews, but I like Austin Matthews too. He does make a ton of money. I would certainly be interested in trading for him, but I'm not nearly as enthused by him as Brady, but I certainly would like Austin Matthews. I mean, if you're an NHL fan, I don't know how you wouldn't be excited about the possibility of adding Austin Matthews to your team. Gary says, like for your boy, appreciate you. Hit the thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, what are we waiting for? Hit the subscribe button. If you're subscribed, hit the notification button so you don't miss anything. You never know what's going to happen around here. You just never know. Doug says, love it, Ace. The future certainly is bright. So bright. No, Sid came back. Don't tell me he got hurt again. He just came back a couple games ago. Tasha says, got my first pack of Upper Deck hockey cards today, and I got an Encore Jacob Markstrom. Yikes. Devils Den, there's a real chance we see Buffalo versus Carolina in the Eastern Conference Final. If we see that, I am Team Sabres all day. All day. David Chimes, you rooting for Ottawa or Buffalo in the playoffs? So there's a lot of teams that I wouldn't mind seeing for a variety of reasons. Minnesota Wild, I do like Quinn, even though, Billy Guerin stole Quinn from us. I love Billy G. I like Quinn. I am a big Boldy guy. I do like Boldy. So they're definitely a team I'll be rooting for out west. In the East, I wouldn't mind seeing the Islanders go on a run, despite people thinking they're like a rival of ours. I always have a soft spot for the Isles for a bunch of different reasons. Would like to see them be relevant and maybe develop a new kind of rivalry with the Devils. If we both could kind of be good at the same time, that would be fun. A little local geographic rivalry. Ottawa, selfishly, I can't root for Ottawa just because I think if they struggle, it increases the likelihood of Brady wanting out. I want Brady to win, but I want him to win with the Devils. Carson says, when we make it to the Stanley Cup Finals, I have us losing in 6 no matter what team we play between Dallas and Colorado. I mean, that's pretty bold that you think you're going to get there. Devil Heaven, hey, Ace, do you have a white or black Casey Scouts jersey? Pretty sick also. No, I do not have either one of those. I think eventually I'll maybe get around to it. I just have so many jerseys. But I eventually would like one of those. Bobby, thank you for the super. What's up, Ace? What an embarrassing loss. Markey absolutely sucks. Good God, man. It's horrible. At this point, I like to benchmark and go with a tandem of Allen and Dawson over Markey. No, I get it, Bobby, but can you really blame the loss on Markey, though? The thing is, we can't generate shots. We can't score goals. Was Markey good? No. Was he the biggest problem? No. And I understand the concern about Markey going forward. I think most of us have that concern. But at this point, I feel like there's just so many more pressing issues that are more dire. And this season's done. And so I can't get really too fired up either way about any specific little thing because this season's already lost. Hopefully, he plays much better next season. And if he doesn't, they try to figure out how to fix it, whether that's, whatever that may look like. But for me, I personally cannot get too animated about any single little issue now because this season has been done. John Fay, hear me out. The NHL changes the point system to a 3-2-1 point system. People have been talking about that for a while. I don't think it's a terrible idea. I do think they need to figure something out to try to... but the thing is, they made the loser point because they want teams to still be kind of in it for as long as possible. Without the loser point, a lot of teams would be completely out of the playoff race much earlier, and that's not good for business. It's not good for TV ratings. It's not good for ticket sales. And so they want to create a system that keeps teams alive for as long as possible to kind of keep that, business and the cash flowing. And so I don't think you're ever going to see, you're going to always see some sort of variation of that. Snorkel Life, what's the chances of Fitz being president, but they bring in a new GM? A little weird, but not as weird as when Uncle Lou was on the bench in GM. I can't compare anything to Uncle Lou because he is a total outlier. He is just, you can't, Lou did things his way and has the track record he does. Nothing but the utmost respect for Lou Lamoriello. And I've seen people talking about this. I don't think adding another layer either above or below Fitz, is the right move. It's run its course. Just get rid of him. Busted Cooler Sports. Ace probably a hot take. I get rid of the jersey and bring back the green retros. I mean, the green retros were cool, but I'm personally kind of over the green and white. We just had a lot of it in the past, and I understand people liked it, but I do think going forward, it's time to just embrace the black. I like the black as the alternate, but the Devils' main logo has to be the crest of the jersey. I don't care if you have a shoulder patch or something with the jersey script, but the main crest should be the iconic Devils logo for sure. Metalander, just for giggles, I ordered a Chinese Jack USA jersey on eBay. It showed up with Nike tags, and the nameplate was Hughes with no J. Take a guess where the official mine are being made. I don't know what that means, Metalander, but the official real Nike ones made by Nike and distributed through Fanatics also did not have a J. They It's a shame that on the second batch they're not correcting it, but it says, they all say Hughes. Tasha says, comparing Sipakov to Holik, even the slightest, is doing an injustice to Bobby. I completely agree. Tasha, is that a new Utica Devils jersey? Yeah, no, that's just it was a Utica Comets, Utica Devils throwback night jersey from a few seasons ago. Traveling Devil, Metalander, the Nike jerseys don't have the J on them. Yeah, because obviously they started making them before they realized that that's how it was going to appear on the ice. Dakota, how many jerseys do you even have? If we're including game-worn jerseys, I'm going to say, I don't know, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of like, let me see. I have a list. I'm going to say 80-ish. Probably like 80, but hold on, let me see. I had a list, but I hadn't updated it in a while. Oh yeah, no, we're hovering around 100, probably around 100 jerseys. It's a sickness, folks. It's a sickness. Yeah, only on the ice it had Jay Hughes. Yeah, good guess, Tasha. About 100 is correct. David Chimes says, "What is depth scoring? Nemitz has no bargaining power." Yeah, that was kind of weird when he said that. But hopefully, if Nemo's not back, and I like Nemo, but if he's not going to be brought back, he should only be traded for a big impact piece. Big impact piece. Jason says, pass on Matthews. We're a poor man's Toronto already. I can never pass on Matthews. Come on, man. If you have a chance to get Matthews, you'd be crazy not to want him. Damn, he got hurt again? I didn't even hear that. Unbelievable. Oh, my God. He just came back like a few games ago. Devs fan 202, keep referencing in the presser 3 regular season home runs last year after losing in the playoffs. Again, last year versus Kane, so he still doesn't get the big picture potential statement game. Yeah, they own us. They completely own us. And it sucks. Dan's hobby says Devils still can't hang with the playoff teams. That's not necessarily true. They've beaten some playoff teams as of late. The Canes are kind of an outlier, but they did beat the Preds the other night, who are probably going to be in the playoffs or right near it. They beat the Bruins a couple weeks ago. They just beat the Stars before the Preds. So it's not like they lose to every playoff team. They've beaten plenty of playoff teams. Robbie's bench toss. Think Markey gets bought out if we get a new GM. I don't think he would be bought out immediately. I think he would have an opportunity to, prove himself next year. But if it went sour with the new GM, I do think that being bought out certainly would be explored. Obviously, it's not an option with Fitz, but a different GM would explore it, I'd imagine, if it came to that point. Gary says, hey, so we heard anything on the Gritsuk injury? Not to my knowledge. You know how this team is with injuries. I don't expect to see him for the rest of the season, if I'm being honest. Tasha, same thoughts of the Isles. The enemy of my enemy is my friend or something. And I just really, really like Schaefer. And honestly, I'm just rooting more for him than the team. Yeah, Schaefer, what a story he is. Climbing up the Islanders, all different types of stats for the Islanders, rookie points and defenseman points and rookie defenseman points. What a story. Special player. Austin, this loss wasn't on Markstrom. I know we all hate him, but tonight wasn't his fault. I had a way bigger issue with Dylan and Nemitz tonight. SJ says 19 shots in this team. Awful. Tasha, when they come home from the trip, will learn Grits' status. Meaty Clacker says trade anyone not named Jack Hughes. Tropical Flamingo, same result in Carolina, constantly lose to them. We just play terribly in that building, can never beat Daddy. No, that's why they're Daddy. Daddy is Daddy. Frank Body says Austin Matthews has a no-trade contract and said he would only waive it for LA Kings. Yeah, but I'd have to believe that if Jack Hughes went on the recruiting trails, if it came down to it, and had a talk with his buddy and tried to, pitch him on the bright future in New Jersey, that there is a chance he would consider it. Tropical Flamingo, every time I go to games in Carolina, same result. I have family here, so visit often, but always a bad result. Just a hard building to win in. Canes have a strong system they play, and we can't break it. Completely accurate. They know what to do to beat the Devils, and they do it well. Execution, just saw a replay of Matthew Tkachuk's between the legs goal. Yeah, it was sick. They had a 2-0 lead and then blew it. They just fell apart. Rough season for them. Yeah, 2-0 lead, and I think they lost 5-2 final to the Islanders, who are looking to lock up a playoff spot. Dakota's 100. What is that? Oh, the jerseys. Yeah, about 100. Yep, 100 jerseys or so. Tropical Flamingo had a bad feeling and same result. Back at it. Let's go home and play solid game versus the Hawks tomorrow night. Star Wars night. Star Wars night. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, 100 jerseys, Faye. I've been collecting jerseys since I was a kid, my guy. I'm an old man now. We're talking about being at this for, 25 years plus. It's a long time. Pahadios, I know this is late, but speaking of military appreciation night, when I was deployed, I emailed asking if I could buy one from Afghanistan. They said no, only for fans in attendance. What exactly are you talking about, though? Military appreciation night, what? What are you looking to? And they said only fans in attendance. Let me know. If there's some way I could assist you in this, I certainly would love to be able to do that. SJ says Matthews is like a bigger Nico two-way center with more offense. I'll take him. Darren Coleman, as a lifelong Canes fan, I tune in to listen to you almost every game this season. Maybe you can come over and stream for us Canes fans too. Got to go, bud. Oh, thanks, Darren. I appreciate that. Like I always say, obviously it's nice to hear people say nice things about you, but it means even more so coming from a fan of a different team, because obviously that, kind of speaks for itself. But thank you very much. Tropical Flamingo, we don't get shots versus this team, just revert to poor play and sloppy play and hate the Canes. Absolutely despise this team when they own us. It's true. Faye said, I'm sure there's guys who stream after the Canes game. Brutal game, man. SJ, we need more puck movers from the D to beat Carolina. Tasha, hey, whatever happened to SST? Got banned for, oh, God, not that I'm complaining. It feels like it's been forever. I've seen him and Woodson, too. I think Woodson just checked out because he's just so beaten down by this team. But, I've had plenty of arguments with SST just because he just talks so much smack and was just disrespectful. I don't know. Snow says 13 mil for Matthews, who's been hurt and his production had declined. On top of that, you're replacing a core piece with another soft player. I get any sort of negativity around Matthews, but I just think he's a guy that would potentially thrive with a change of scenery. Obviously, you make valid points, and I have some concerns too. But the guy has shown he could score goals, and that's something that this team has not been able to do. And I think if you bring him to New Jersey and put Jack on his wing, I think that's potential magic. He's talking about limited edition military appreciation nights, but then why would they say it's only for fans in attendance? Because they had sold them. It wasn't like a giveaway or anything, so I don't understand why they would have said it's only for fans in attendance. Austin says Matthews is absolutely not a two-way player. I was going to say, he's definitely not anywhere near Nico in terms of defensive play. But I think he's capable of doing it. I think if you put him in a system where you're like, listen, you're going to have to, be a little more dedicated to defending, that you could potentially get his buy-in. And I think him with Jack could be magical. I would be very curious to see it. Faye said Woodson decided to disappear into the shadows. I think he's just so sickened by this team. Austin, maybe in the Olympics he was, but I've watched so much Leafs hockey over the years, and it's crazy how lazy he is on the back check. I think that's something that could be corrected by coaching. I really do. Maybe that's me being delusionally optimistic, but Tasha said, so have I, especially during playoffs, but I think the situation would change him. I think that could happen. Tropical Flamingo, ultimately, the Devils have to have major changes, but we don't have confidence they are coming with booze face. Snow's all in on Nyes. Nyes is the guy I would want making $7 million. I would take him as well. Nyes would be an exciting addition. When that name popped up on trade deadline day, I was very intrigued and hoping that it would happen in the right deal. Obviously, I don't want to overpay for anyone, but Tasha says, get Matthews, give them back Nico. SJ, in the past, Matthews coasted, but I think he matured and defends better, but it has hurt his numbers. Put that guy on Jack's wing. Yeah, Nyes and Jack would be a nice pairing too. Jack just needs another impact player that could finish. We need finishers. Benjamin, I'm looking forward to the next Ethiopians over 70 night. Those are always great. SJ Matthews is more of a sniper than a playmaker. Yeah, I'll take some. We have playmakers. Jack and Brad are both playmakers. Not even say Nico's a playmaker. Let's get some finishers. Shoot first, guys. Jay Snow, Matthews shrinks every year in the playoffs. Well, listen, let's just get to the playoffs before we worry about that. The sniper makes more sense, says Faye. Snow, I'm open to someone else, but Nyes is a power forward whose name is out there. Yeah, I would be thrilled with it. I would love to see a guy like Nyes or Matthews. I'd be happy with both, honestly. Either one would be a true impact player brought in, but there can't be any more Band-Aid fixes or stretches. We need real impact. Snow says, being realistic, we know it's not going to happen. The only thing we got is hope, folks. The only thing we got is hope. Tropical Flamingo, sad night, but more of the same. Let's see guys respond and beat the Hawks on Star Wars night and then sweep the Rags, bounce back. I want to see some fisticuffs in the Ranger game. Austin, are you still in here, bud? Devils Den Austin, are you still present? Faye says, true Snow, it's not going to happen, not with Fitz at the helm. Everyone's super down on Fitz, and I get that too. I just hope that somehow he gets pressured from above or from wherever to kind of snap out of it and make a real move. SJ, imagine Matthews on the power play with Jack. Yeah, it'd be sick. The guy scored, what, 60-something goals a few years ago? Come here and give us 50, please. Snow, this team has to be able to score off a cycle and develop a forecheck. You can't win a cup just scoring rush goals. Completely agree. And in some cases, you won't even make the playoffs being a one-trick pony, right, Snow? Got to get the dirty ones. Got to get the dirty ones. David Chime says, Nemo for William Eklund gives both teams something to need. Eklund was a point per game for San Jose last season's having an off-year bargain contract. So that someone reported that was that was thrown out there by Greer, or he offered Eklund, and then it was quickly refuted. And it was quickly refuted. So I don't know. For me personally, I would like to see if Nemo is going to be dealt. I would like to see him traded for a more kind of, I don't know. I would want to see a more impact player personally. I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, that deal would have been amazing," but I would rather him be traded in a deal for a guy like Nyes or a Matthews or a Brady. Shit, Austin, I forgot what I was going to ask you. Yeah, I'm here. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I was going to ask you. So, Austin, are you completely out on Matthews for the Devils? And if not, what would your max offer be for Matthews? I'm curious, being that you're a Canadian fella in the Toronto market. Jay Snow, when you watch playoffs, so many goals are net front greasy goals, which we absolutely suck at. Pahadios, it was the military-themed jersey from 2010 that was only sold in the team shop. I eventually acquired one from a middleman. Okay, got it. That's even worse. So it was a jersey from the store, and they were like, sorry, bud. It's terrible. It's really shameful. SJ, Miss Severson, his breakouts were so important. It's funny you mentioned Damon Severson. He got a lot of shit from our fan base. And I told people many times, and some of my friends who would dog on him, I was like, listen, does Severson have some deficiencies and make some bad plays sometimes? Yes. However, I always said you will miss Severson when he is gone because he was very good at moving the puck. He would make amazing stretch passes somewhat regularly, and it's something that a lot of defensemen cannot do. He was very, very good at it. Meadowlander, did you notice how the 3-time finals Panthers are okay with tanking for a pick, but we continue to move out of draft position? The difference between culture and winging it. Do you notice how the 3-time finals are okay? I don't know what you mean by that, Meadowlander. Explain what you mean. $69. Oh, my God. I knew it was close to 70. 69 goals for Matthews. SJ says Eklund is too streaky to trade Nemo. Jay Snow, we have 0 net front presence. That's why I want the doggy dogs. Bring in the dogs. Darren, Ace, couldn't stand the Kachuk brothers, but after watching Team USA, I found myself loving all those guys, including your boy Jack Hughes. Got love for all of them now. Canes fan. Yeah, Darren, if you're an American, how could you not love every guy on that team now? I mean, they accomplished something that has not been accomplished in my lifetime as a 40-year-old and hasn't been accomplished in 46 years since that Miracle on Ice team in 1980. They are forever golden. They've done something that we may not see again. Hopefully this is not the case, but we may not see it again for quite some time. Hopefully they, can run it back in 2030 and defend the gold and win again. But it's been 46 years, and what a team. I love every one of those guys, and I will look at every single one of them very differently. I already love the Kachuk brothers. Everyone here knows that. But even before the Olympics, I was a Kachuk fan, and I liked a lot of the other guys on the team as well. But they're all certainly in a different stratosphere for me personally after winning gold. I mean, that is just... Snow says the NHL is going back to being bigger and more physical. Yeah, and especially when the playoffs come. Complete warfare hockey. Faye, the team is always pass over shoot and it ends up backfiring on us. Yeah, that's because, again, when we have kind of redundancy players that are playmakers and not shoot-first snipers, you're going to see some of that. We need some snipers. Devil's Den, I'm not completely out on Matthews, but I think he needs an attitude change. I'm not confident he can be a real leadership voice and push us over the edge. Max offer Bratt a first, a third, Hamilton. I mean, that's a pretty sizable offer. And what about, I'm assuming if you're willing to offer that, you're willing to offer a comparable package with Nemo in it. Matthew E., if we acquire Matthews, he doesn't have to be the C. We could give the C to a real leader like Evander Kane. Well, first of all, if Austin Matthews is brought here, I promise you he wouldn't be the C. If Nico is still here, Nico is still here, he would remain the C. And if Nico is not here, then the next C will be number 86. The golden boy, Jack Hughes. Jay Snow, Hughes got to get stronger in the offseason. Would love to see it. Jack with another 10 pounds or so would be an unstoppable force when healthy. David Chimes, people get scapegoats in their head and notice every bad thing they do to self-justify hate. Severson was that guy. Some use Mercer and Luke today, but most fans get Fitz is the real problem. I don't know, man. I totally agree with you, David, but I do think a lot of people are in denial about certain things going on. Darren Coleman. Did you say if you were going to do streams after any of the playoff games this year, I'd listen in? I'm debating it. I'll definitely do some sort of streams. I don't know if they'll be more generic or after specific games. I don't know, but I'll certainly be doing some stuff during the playoffs for sure. Pahadios, Dano made up for it by sending me a Hurricane Sandy jersey for my unit service. Wore it at the MetLife games and easily my favorite. Bunch of old timers signed it for me too. Amazing. Kenny Danico, salt of the earth, dude. Mr. Devil, nicest guy on the planet. And, this is just story 8,798 of why Kenny Danico is the absolute man. What a legend. SJ says I would trade anything for Brady, but won't happen. I'm going to hold that hope. I don't think it's going to happen either, but man, it would be so sick. Devil's Den, Austin. If we're doing Nemo, then it'd be Nemo, a first, a third, and Hamilton. They're not getting Bratt and Nemo. No, I get that. I was just saying if the, Nemo swapped out kind of. Yeah. I mean, listen, for as much, whatever negative things you kind of said about Matthews, you're still willing to send a nice package for him, which I would agree with as well. Jason knows that I wanted Kane this offseason. He's a prick, and I love it. Tosh says Evander Kane is what our locker room needs. I'm kind of on the fence about him. I think we need a guy like that, but he might just have too much off-ice baggage for me personally. I don't know how this team would kind of vibe with that. But in terms of like the asshole that he is on the ice, he would be perfect for what we need. Darren says, then stream for the Canes ones, even if you got to bring the hate. I hate them so much. So much. David goes, Austin be like, I really don't like Matthews much, but I'd still trade half the team from me. That's kind of how I took it too. I'm like, all right, well, listen, despite whatever you said about him, you're still willing to send a good package for him. SJ says he's not streaming when the Canes get over it. Tasha giving the Dano clap. Matthew E. Hughes needs to get on some PEDs like the ones Bonds was on. Come on. Remember when Bonds came back after an offseason with like 40 pounds of muscle? Jack needs some of that in his offseason. No, he just needs to do a Nemo-like offseason. Just seriously hit the weights, take the training hard, and just put on a little muscle and come back a bigger, nastier fella. Tasha, it's the off-ice baggage with Kane. Just pick someone else similar. That's kind of where I'm at. Austin, I have a lot of issues with Matthews and his ability to be a leader and step up for his team, but I won't turn down 40 to 70 goals for. Wise. SJ, would you do Matthews for Nico straight up? Is that for me or for Austin? Faye, what I want is a scrappy guy who will go net front, who will win board battles, can score them greasy goals, and be able to get in the opposing team's head. Yeah, that guy is Brady Tkachuk. Tasha said, you know who I wanted? I'm pissed we didn't get Corey Perry. Corey Perry is all but a guarantee to get you to the finals and probably lose. But what a gamer, still getting it done in his old age. And he got his ass beat the other day. But, he's a tough guy. I forget who he fought. Matthew E., the strategy should be to acquire Kane, make him the C, then allow him to place bets on Devils winning. The ultimate motivation for him will probably win the Hart, Ted Lindsay, Rocket, Richard. Snow, that's why they need a real GM to sit Jack down and tell him what's expected. Robbie's bench toss, I'd settle for 5 pounds of muscle and a stronger shoulder regarding Jack. Realistic expectations for Mr. First of all, I'm 5'11", Golden Boy. When did he say that? Snow said the guy's a millionaire, hire a nutritionist and a personal trainer. Said Snow, apparently he just hired a better PR team. Did he hire a new PR team, or is that? I think people are just kind of making that up. I don't think it's a new PR team. I think he's just kind of being more of himself now, which seems to be suiting him well on and off the ice. Austin says, I'm going to get ripped for this, but I wouldn't do that trade. So I will say this, Austin, the only reason why I think I would consider it, and it's not an immediate yes or no for me, is because of the pending Nico contract situation. Like if Nico was signed long-term at the number he's signed at now, then I would likely say no. But the fact that he only has next year left makes it much more of a toss-up for me. Tosh said, fingers crossed this will be the first offseason for Jack where he's not rehabbing. Yeah, it would be nice. Gleason, I see Chad is still hung up on Jack gaining weight in year 8. Because I think it would be a nice thing to see, Gleason. Do you not agree with that? I think a lot of people have wanted to see that happen, but because of all the injuries nearly every year heading into the offseason, it really hasn't been a possibility. Snow said, we all know Jack's going to be chilling on the lake all summer. No weights in sight. I think this year, I think he surprises people. I do think he surprises people. Oh, you're talking about Evander Kane hiring a new PR team. Okay. Matthew says Jack's going to be chilling on Tate McRae all summer. Oh, boy. Tasha, imagine they get married. Anything's possible, right? Robbie's bench toss says that was his draft day quote when being framed as a smaller player. I don't remember that. It just says, I get it, Devils. Then I would consider it only because Matthews is a goal scorer. Yeah, we need goals. Goals are at a premium in this league. And when you can't score goals, a guy like Matthews would be a nice addition. I think Mia says, I think Jack is better on the wing. Only, I think, if he's playing with the right players. And a guy like Austin Matthews as his center could be interesting. I think that would be a situation where Jack would consider playing wing. All right, guys, I got to go to the bathroom real quick. We'll start wrapping this up. I'm not in a hurry by any stretch. But thoughts, comments, questions, suggestions, whatever you got, throw it out there. I'm going to come back and I'll start wrapping it up. I'm not in a hurry, like I said. It's still very early. I do like 5 o'clock games are very interesting. I don't know how I would feel about them regularly, but on a night like tonight, I'm like, wow, it's only 9:20 where normally it'd be way later. But run into the bathroom real quick. Throw it out there. Thoughts, comments, questions, suggestions. I definitely like the suggestions if you got any. Throw that out there, and I'll be back in a minute. I'll leave you with the game stats for the moment. We're back. We are back. Hey, 26 hits to 12. We finally out-hit a team. Yeah, a lot of hits. I was pleasantly surprised to see that stat on there as well. Gleason, remember, hockey is very positionless now. I mean, I don't know about that, but Jack was fine when he played wings for a while. Jack and Matthews would work perfectly. Yeah, I think that's a situation where Jack would not mind flopping over to the wing to play with Austin Matthews. I think they'd be a dynamic 1-2 punch. Austin, I totally get he has the potential to be the best goal scorer in the league, but I think he sure always has the ability to be a 40 goal scorer. Plus, he sure is my guy. I won't lie. Austin has a he sure jersey. He's got the he sure jersey. Part of the segment, run into the bathroom. Austin says, exactly. Brad has nearly 50 assists. When it's an awful year, can you imagine what Brad could do feeding Matthews? Oof. Brader could dish that puck too. And a guy like Matthews that wants to bury them would be nice. Gleason says, wasn't really a huge sample size compared to when they played together at the Olympics. I think it's fine. Not going to happen anyway. Just something to talk about. You never know. But yeah, I mean, more than likely, these are all pipe dreams. It'd be a dangerous duo. Brat, Matthews, and Jack would be insane. Esha says, Nico's the man, but we need goals so badly. I agree with that. Would be a line that sets records. Everyone's getting excited about that line potential. Tasha says, my prediction, I'm locking it in now for Fitz's big offseason signing is Bjorkstrand. Oh, I hope you're so wrong. Samuel says, love to dream too, but Fitz couldn't make any of these things happen. Again, I could only hope he proves us all wrong. I'm all for that line existing. Matthew E says, Hughes, Matthew, Kachuk. I mean, let's not get crazy, folks. This is where you guys, I always say, I like to keep my pipe dreams somewhat in reality. And I think getting any one of these guys is a little pipe dreamy, but there's no planet where we get Austin Matthews and Brady Kachuk. Yeah, oh my God. And then he goes on to Hughes pairing. Now, who else? Add McDavid and McCarr to the team too. Jason knows that someone from this core has to go. Gleason says we will win the cup when we get Bjorkstrand and we get the waist right back. I want to see the waist right back in the worst way. Devils then, I mean, Leafs fans ran Martyr out of town. Wouldn't be shocked if they did the same to Matthews. Look what happened after the Olympics. A lot of salty Canadian folks, I have to say. SJ said, can we get Matthews and pay Nico? I wish. No. I don't see any world where Austin Matthews would be on this team with Nico still here. I just can't see it. And also keep in mind, in the background looming of all this, is that the team is outside of if Quinn Hughes does sign the extension with the Wild this summer, the Devils will be looking for a path that has cap space available because they're not going to make the same mistake twice. They want to have that cap space available should Quinn Hughes hit free agency next summer. Metalander, did you bite on this Tops Now Jack 1-of-1 card chase? The base cards are a print run of $350,000 and are dirt cheap on eBay. I did not. I know I'm not going to get it. So, I don't, I think it's an interesting kind of concept what they've done with that whole thing where that you could order them for a week or whatever. And then I'm very curious to see if when someone comes forward that they have it. Austin says, look, I get it's all hypotheticals, but it's been a shit year. Let us have our fun. I know, right? This is what it's come down to. Matthew E. Leafs ran their 100-point player out of town, replaced him with no one, then wonder why they suck this year. I don't get it. Yeah, Marner proved to be a big-time loss for them. John says, Bratt, McDavid, Jack versus Bratt, Matthews, Jack line. Who puts up more points? I mean, listen, I got to go with McDavid. Come on. McDavid's a freak. Jason said we're going to be the Leafs if we don't pivot. I completely agree. Or a worse Leafs. Faye says we need to get rid of Fitz, otherwise we will be the Leafs. I mean, I've said months ago that Keefe is probably getting somewhat deja vu PTSD because this situation looks eerily similar to the situation he found himself with there. Austin's going with the McDavid line too. That's, you can't go against McDavid. David chimes, Quinn is going to stay in Minnesota. No GM going to risk next season for a shot at Quinn. I think he's going to stay in Minnesota, but there's no guarantees. I have a couple friends that are adamant that he's still coming to the Devils. And listen, I hope they're right. I hope they're right and I'm wrong. Like I've said from the day that I saw that first Quinn Hughes press conference in Minnesota, I said he's never coming to the Devils. And I even when I said it then, I said I hope to come on here and say how wrong I was about that. I just don't think I will be, but we'll find out. Gleason, Marner did stink in elimination games, and regardless, he was scapegoated. Hard not to scapegoat people when nothing ever works out. Yeah. People want to see change. They're like, you know what? Let's change something up because we've seen the same movie over and over again. Tasha says the Leafs consistently made the playoffs, something we are unable to accomplish, which is also true. SJ Fitz really didn't get Quinn. I still can't believe it. Believe it, my guy. The fumble of the millennium. Saravo Broadcasting. Everyone said fire Lindy like he was the problem. Clearly isn't in Buffalo. No, they're getting it done there. Tasha said Marner was god-awful in elimination games. Matthew E., if Quinn leaves Minnesota, he'll end up in Detroit with his buddies Larkin, Kane, in his hometown. His brothers will meet up with him when they get the chance. I don't think – a lot of people have been talking about that. I never put any stock into that. I don't think Detroit is this desirable place or that they really care to play there, to be honest. I think it'd be more likely for them all to try to play in Minnesota than Detroit. And Kane is at the very end of his career, so I just can't see it. Faye, honestly, I know it was never going to happen in the first place, but I was hoping Fitz would hop on Marner when talks are first happening, but I think it would have came in second. He got paid a lot of money. I'm curious to see how this all shakes out in the summer. Austin Marner has more points than the entire Leafs roster. I'm honestly so happy for the guy. Got the hell out of hell. Mia says, I would like Nylander. I think there's other guys I'd rather get, honestly. I think he's, I can never be like upset if you get a guy like him, but he certainly wouldn't be high on my list. I just think we need more of the dog type players. SJ said, agree. That's why I said trade Nico for Matthews. Dakota, the Wild are going to have 30 million tied up. 30 million tied up, 8 in 2 players, and it will hopefully be worth every cent. Jay Snow, Willie plays no defense and has no physicality to his game. Gleason, we're getting Quinn in the 4th of the brothers, Jack Quinn from the Buffalo Sabres. This completes the quintuplet. Oh, boy. All right, folks, I think that's it. I got some things to do. The New Jersey Devils, unfortunately, could not get it done. Go to Raleigh, lose once again to the Hurricanes. They remain daddy. They own us, and I'm getting sick of it. I hate them with a passion. They are right below the New York Rangers in my, hatred, because they've owned us forever, and it's so annoying. So annoying, but that's it, folks. Tomorrow, the Devils are back home in action against the Chicago Blackhawks. Will be interesting to see how that goes, but I'll be back then. So back in action tomorrow. Connor Bedard comes to town. We'll see how that plays out. Hopefully the Devils can get a win there. I'd expect to see Jake Allen in between the pipes for the Devils. And we'll see how it all goes. But appreciate all of you. Appreciate all you folks that are also going to go down with the ship, like myself, and appreciate you all for coming out. Cheers to all of you. We got a couple more weeks left of this season, and then we're on to off-season shenanigans. But thank you all for watching. I love you all. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go.